Giovanni Giorgio Moroder is an influential Italian record producer, songwriter, performer and DJ. Moroder is frequently credited with pioneering synth disco and electronic dance music. When in Munich in the 1970s, he started his own record label called Oasis Records, which several years later became a subdivision of Casablanca Records. He collaborated with Donna Summer during the era of disco and is the founder of the former Musicland Studios in Munich, a recording studio used by many renowned artists including Electric Light Orchestra, Led Zeppelin, Queen and Elton John. In addition to producing several hits with Donna Summer, Moroder also produced a number of electronic disco hits for the 3 Degrees, 2 albums for Sparks, a handful of songs on Bonnie Tyler's album Bitter Blue as well as her 1985 single Here She Comes, and a score of songs for performers including David Bowie, Irene Cara, Madeleine Kane, Melissa Manchester, Blondie, Japan, and France July. Music career: Moroder made his first steps in music in the Scotch Club in Aachen and then released a few singles under the name Giorgio beginning in 1966 after moving to Berlin, singing in Italian, Spanish, English, and German. He came to prominence in 1969, when his recording Looky Looky, released on Arilla Records, was awarded a gold disc in October 1970. He then began making a name for himself in studios around Germany in the early 1970s. Often collaborating with lyricist Pete Bellet, Moroder had a number of hits in his own name including Son of My Father in 1972, a #1 hit in Great Britain for Chicory Tip, before releasing the synthesizer-driven From Here to Eternity, a notable chart-buster in 1977. That same year he co-wrote and produced the seminal Donna Summer hit single I Feel Love. The following year he released Chase, the theme from the film Midnight Express. Chase is often used on the American syndicated late-night radio show Coast to Coast, and was also used as an entrance theme for wrestling's group The Midnight Express. These songs achieved some chart success in the United Kingdom, the United States, and across Europe, and everywhere disco-mania was spreading. The full film score for Midnight Express won him his first Academy Award for Best Original Score in 1979. In 1979 Moroder released his album E=Marcus². Text on the album's cover stated that it was the first electronic live-to-digital album. He also released 3 albums between 1977 and 1979 under the name Munich Machine. In 1984, Moroder worked with Philip Oakey of the Human League to make the album Philip Oakey and Giorgio Moroder, which was a UK singles chart hit with Together in Electric Dreams, title track to the 1984 film Electric Dreams. The same year saw him collaborating with Kajagoogoo frontman Limahl for their worldwide hit The Never Ending Story. In 1986, Moroder collaborated with his proto-copyright copyright Harold Faltermeyer and lyricist Tom Whitlock to create the score for the film Top Gun, which included Kenny Loggins' hit Danger Zone, and Berlin's Take My Breath Away. He also wrote the theme song to the film Over the Top Meet Me Halfway, which was also performed by Kenny Loggins. In 1987 Moroder produced and co-wrote Falco's song Body Next to Body. In 1997 Moroder and Donna Summer won the Grammy Award for Best Dance Recording for the song Carry On. On September 20, 2004 Moroder was honored at the Dance Music Hall of Fame ceremony, held in New York, when he was inducted for his many outstanding achievements and contributions as producer. In 2005, he was given the title of Commendatore by the then President of the Italian Republic, Carlo Azeglio Ciampi. On September 5, 2010 Moroder received the Great Order of Merit of the South Tyrol. Moroder contributed to Daft Punk's 2013 studio album Random Access Memories, admitting that he had been a fan of their song One More Time before working with the group. His voice and story is featured on the album's track Giorgio by Moroder. On the track he states, "My name is Giovanni Giorgio, but everybody calls me Giorgio." Moroder is working on a new album. The title and track list haven't been revealed yet. In 2014, Giorgio Moroder reworked an old classic from the 60s called A Euro Oe Doobie Doo A Euro, which was used in the Volkswagen 2014 Super Bowl commercial entitled Wings. On 28 March 2014, singer Kelly's announced a collaboration with Moroder on her Facebook page. On the 21st of April 2014, Giorgio released his official remix of Coldplay's ʻdʒordʒo Midnight from their new album Ghost Stories. In April/May 2014, Giorgio Moroder announced that he will work with the French electro-pop producer Madian and US-American singer Lana Del Rey. On 9 June 2014, Adult Swim released a new high-energy disco single by Moroder. Film work. Throughout much of his musical career, Moroder has been involved in soundtrack work for various motion pictures. In 1978, he wrote the Academy Award-winning soundtrack to Midnight Express, which featured one of his best-known pieces, Chase. In 1980, he composed and produced two film soundtrack albums, the first for Foxes and the second for American Gigolo. A double album of the Foxes soundtrack was released on the disco label Casablanca Records, which includes Donna Summer's hit single On the Radio, which Moroder both produced and co-wrote. The Foxes soundtrack also contains a song titled Bad Love, written and performed by the singer-actress Cher and produced by Moroder. The American Gigolo soundtrack featured the Moroder-produced Blondie's Call Me, a US and UK #1 hit. All singles from the album also went to #2 for 5 weeks on the disco dance charts. In 1982 he wrote the soundtrack of the movie Cat People, including the hit single Cat People featuring David Bowie. In 1983, Moroder produced the soundtrack for the film Scarface. During its initial release, the album was only available in a few countries and strictly through import in the United States. Notable Moroder-produced tracks included Scarface by Paul Ingeman, Rush Rush by Debbie Harry, and She's on Fire by Amy Holland. In 2006, the soundtrack was featured in the game Scarface, The World Is Yours, which is based on the film and also includes some previously unreleased instrumentals by Moroder. In 1984, Moroder compiled a new restoration and edit of the silent film Metropolis and provided it with a contemporary soundtrack. This soundtrack includes 7 pop music tracks from Pat Benatar, John Anderson, Adam Ant, Billy Squier, Loverboy, Bonnie Tyler and Freddie Mercury. He also integrated the old-fashioned intertitles into the film as subtitles as a means of improving continuity, and he also increased the film's framerate to 24 frames a second. Since the original speed was unknown, this choice was controversial. Known as the Moroder version, it sparked debate among film buffs, with outspoken critics and supporters of the film falling into equal camps. Moroder also scored other films in the 1970s and 1980s, including Flashdance, The Never-Ending Story, Thief of Hearts, Electric Dreams, Cat People and Over the Top. In 2002, he wrote the score for Leni Riefenstahl's final film, Impression and ʻdʒordʒo, a marine documentary. Video games. His score for Scarface has been used in the video games Grand Theft Auto 3 and Scarface, The World Is Yours, while Moroder's From Here to Eternity and Chase were used in the Sony PlayStation Portable and PlayStation 2 game Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories. Together in Electric Dreams, a collaborative effort of Giorgio Moroder and Philip Oakey, features in Grand Theft Auto, Vice City Stories. More recently he composed, produced and performed the theme music for Google's Razor. Sporting events and other media. Moroder wrote the official theme songs, Reach Out, for the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, and Hand in Hand, for the 1988 Seoul Olympics and Un'Estate Italiana for the 1990 Football World Cup. The Chase is now also used as the theme bumper music for the US AM talk radio program Coast to Coast AM. The BBC used Moroder's film soundtrack Ivory Tower as theme song during the display of the starting grid during the motor racing program Formula One Grand Prix, during the late 1980s and the early mid-1990s. He also composed the song Forever Friends for the 2008 Summer Olympics in Beijing. During the 1980s, Chase was used as the theme song for the Kansas City Comets. In the late 1980s, Moroder collaborated with Claudio Zombelli to create the Sizetta Moroder V16T supercar. In summer 2013, Giorgio started to DJ, giving his US debut at the Red Bull Music Academy in New York City. He is touring around the globe and playing his classics from the 70s and 80s but also new remixes. In spring 2014, he announced his upcoming DJ gigs and tour dates. Awards: Moroder has won 3 Academy Awards, Best Original Score for Midnight Express, Best Song for Flashdance, What a Feeling, from the film Flashdance, and Best Song for Take My Breath Away, from Top Gun. Moroder also won 2 of his 3 Grammy Awards for Flashdance Best Album of Original Score written for a motion picture or a television special and Best Instrumental Composition for the track Love Theme from Flashdance. The third was won for Best Dance Recording for the song Carry On. In 2005, Moroder was named a Commendatore Ordinale Merito della Repubblica Italiana, and in 2010 Bolzano awarded him the Grand Ordinale Merito della Provincia Autonoma di Bolzano. In 2011, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award from the World Soundtrack Academy. In 2014, Giorgio Moroder won his 4th Grammy Award for Daft Punk's Random Access Memories. Notable collaborations: Donna's Summer Love to Love You Baby, The 3 Degrees New Dimensions, 3D, Sparks Number 1 in Heaven, Japan Life in Tokyo, David Bowie Cat People, Irene Cara What a Feelin', Philip Oki Together in Electric Dreams, Sig Sputnik Flaunt It Creation of the Cyberpunk Sound, Big Trouble Big Trouble, Mara Conquista Alonso Vamos Abela, Adam Ant, Kenny Loggins Danger Zone, Meet Me Halfway, Pat Benatar Here's My Heart, Bidado Benato, Berlin. Take My Breath Away, Blondie Call Me, Bonnie Tyler, Freddie Mercury Love Kills, Daft Punk Giorgio by Moroder, Discography. Sampling and other uses: the British alternative rock duo Curve covered I Feel Love in 1992. The song was later included on the double CD compilation The Way of Curve, released in 2004. Bronski Beat have covered I Feel Love, and Love to Love You Baby for their debut album The Age of Consent. On Fire, the second single from rapper Lil Wayne's 7th studio album Rebirth, contains allusions from Amy Holland's song She's on Fire, and was inspired in its entirety by Scarface. Push It, the second single from rapper Rick Ross' debut album Port of Miami, samples Scarface, and the story of the video has a very similar theme to the film Scarface. It was produced by J.R. Rodham. His song Tears was sampled and used as the basis of the DJ Shadow song Organ Donor on his 1996 album Introducing. Canadian hip-hop group Swollen members sampled the song in Fuel Injected and Meltdown. It also appears on the song Tragedy by RZA. The main melody and chord progression form the basis of Merts by folk musician John Grant and Only Light by Australian ska band The Cat Empire. The hip-hop duo Mobb Deep used a sample from the song Tony's Theme in their song GODPT. 3. His song E=MC2 was sampled and used for Jay Dilla's song of the same title. One of his early compositions, Doopy Doopy Doo from 1969, would be featured for many years in silent sketches on The Benny Hill Show, as part of a medley that also included Ma Na, a 4/4 adaptation of Ludwig van Beethoven's Far One Quarter Elise, and Gimme Dat Ding. The theme from Midnight Express was sampled by hip-hop duo Outkast for their song Return of the Gangster, and by hip-hop producer Jay Dilla for Phantom of the Synths, a beat later used by MF Doom for Gazillionaire, and by J Electronica for Dimethyltryptamine. Moroder's opening theme from the film Scarface is sampled by Nas and Mobb Deep for the track It's Mine. Leopard Tree Dream from Cat People is sampled by Cannibal Ox in the song Iron Galaxy. The Legend of Babel theme from the Metropolis soundtrack was covered by DJ Dado. British electronica musician Little Boots covered Love Kills, which was written in collaboration with Freddie Mercury. Future Lovers, a song from American recording artist Madonna's 2005 album Confessions on a Dance Floor, has a bass line inspired by Donna Summer's Moroder produced hit I Feel Love. Furthermore, Madonna opened her 2006 Confessions tour with a medley of Future Lovers, and I Feel Love. The version of Live to Tell Madonna performed on the Confessions tour heavily samples Moroder's song Tears. For the Chase instrumental, see that article, Sons of Arca's album Technoma includes the track Moroder Vibe, which contains elements of I Feel Love. Soundtrack for Google's Razor, a mobile Chrome experiment, Underworld's 1999 album, Boku Fish, contains a song titled Shudder King of Snake, which contains an interpolation of the bass line from I Feel Love. See also, List of number 1 dance hits, List of artists who reached number 1 on the US dance chart, Songwriter Moroder V16T Supercar Project, References. External links, Official website, Giorgio Moroder, Giorgio Moroder discography at Discogs, Giorgio Moroder at the Internet Movie Database, Ringo's track, Listen soundtrack online.